is already uploaded. We'll upload the homework solutions most likely tomorrow. The quiz is on Monday. If you do the homework nicely, you'll be well prepared for the quiz. Doesn't mean the problems will be of the same type, but I think you'll be able to do well. Then on Wednesday, I will review everything, and on Friday we have the exam, okay? The DRC students will take the exam at DRC. I will send them the exam. The quiz you will still take in the department. Just come 1 hour before the actual quiz time to my office. I will give all the students a quiz. These are all the DRC students, okay? All right, hopefully that answers all the questions, relevant questions anyway. I haven't made the quiz yet, so I don't know how many problems. I haven't made the exam yet, so I don't know how many problems. All right, so last time we were talking about how do we figure out which equipment to buy if we have multiple choices, the different cost of buying it, different cost of maintaining it, different number of years. And we said there are two different ways we can think of. One is to figure out what is called the capitalized cost, which is basically bringing all the expenses for the equipment to the front. And we looked at different scenarios. One is where we have unlimited life, so we have to keep buying it without considering depreciation. Another scenario, we included depreciation. Third scenario, we said we have a limited life of 10 years, and we looked at all these different scenarios, and then we said, well, okay, so capitalized cost is one way, where we are bringing all the money up front. Another way to distribute the original cost every year, and so we calculated what is called equivalent annual operating cost, EAOC. And EAOC is simply YOC, which is the actual cost, yearly operating cost, plus the cost of buying the equipment distributed every year. And as we discussed, the way to distribute that is to convert the principal value to an annuity. And so we simply use the formula E equals to A 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 or I 1 plus I to the power n. Right? So from this you can figure out it's simply A is IP 1 plus I to the power n over 1 plus I to the power n. Okay? So that's the equivalent annual operating cost method. And if you basically remember, we said that this is simply the capital cost divided by I. So the capital cost times I. So really you can either calculate capitalized cost or you can calculate EAOC. They both will obviously give you the same answers. It all depends on, I don't know, how you think of it. Now, I don't expect you to remember these formulas, but I expect you to derive these formulas. Okay, so no cheat sheet will be allowed, but you should be able to derive these formulas fairly quickly. All right, any questions? Okay, so then I'm going to switch to a different topic. So far we have looked at, I think before I started looking at these different case studies, I think I explained to you that at the end of the day, all economic decisions basically boil down to the same thing. That you have to bring all the money, you have to essentially calculate do your cash flow diagram, bring all the money to the same point in time and compare, and then choose the investment that is best for you. But then we are looking at different case studies which look a little bit different. But and then they're all similar. Like for instance, we first started by looking at different projects. Which project will you choose, right? That was sort of our case study one. And in that case, we said we always do a project investment analysis over 10 years. We calculate NPV, calculate DC ROR, and we can do that. The second case study we're looking at is the equipment, which equipment you buy. And to do that, we created this concept called EAOC, or capitalized cost. But fundamentally, this is no different than calculating the NPV, right? They are basically very similar. In fact, if you think about it, the capitalized cost can also be defined as basically the NPV for infinite years, right? Because with this investment, we can keep buying. So this is essentially all the investments brought to the front. So really, this approach is not that different. So now we're going to look at another case study, or not a case study, but a case where it's called retrofitting. So retrofitting is, let's say that you have, your boss is one day going in the company and he touches a pipe and he says, "This is too hot." What's the problem if it's too hot?
No insulation.
Sorry?
No insulation.
No insulation. So why is that not good? So first of all, there's the issue of safety, and the second energy loss, right? So your boss might say, you know what, figure it out. Figure out if you should put some insulation on it. And so, you know, this we are going to now discuss how we address that issue, how we figure out if at all we should put insulation, and if we do, what type of insulation we should actually use. So, right now we're going to assume, so this is actually a very interesting optimization problem, because this could be thought of as a continuous optimization or a discrete optimization. What I mean by that is continuous optimization, you can think of it because you have the choice of controlling the thickness of the material continuously, right? In a perfect world. In a perfect world, you could say, well, you know what, I can choose whatever thickness I want, and the question is, on what basis do I decide the thickness? And we'll discuss this as an optimization problem later on in the course. Because if you make it thicker, you save money because
less energy loss.
You have less loss, but it costs more to buy it, right? And that's where there's the optimization problem. But for today, we are not going to assume it is continuous optimization, because most of the times you do not have the option of buying insulation in whatever thickness you want, right? Suppliers will only give you some discrete thicknesses. And so today we're going to assume that we only have finite number of thicknesses available. So let's say that you have choices, and let's say you have 5 choices. Let's call it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 choices do nothing. Okay, so leave it as it is, no insulation. So no insulation. Now for every insulation, what you'll have is, you'll have of course the cost, right? So that's going to be the cost of, and it's called PC, project cost, okay? And then there'll be yearly savings. What other information do you think you will need to analyze the profitability?
Maintenance.
Sorry?
Maintenance.
Well, maintenance is the yearly savings, right? Because some are already included in there. The yearly savings, the net savings, if there is maintenance that goes into it, that has to be deducted. Yeah?
The lifespan of the...
Very good. N. So let's first consider a case where the N is same for all different options, okay? And then we'll discuss how you can modify the analysis if the N is different. So 0, of course, is do nothing, right? So let's say 1 and 2 is the same type of heat exchanger, the same type of insulation, so this is type A, but it's 2 different thicknesses. And this is type B, again, of 2 different thicknesses. So the project cost, let's say, is 3,000, 5,000, 6,000, oh, that's just 4,000, and 8,000. Okay, so let's say these are the project costs of putting the insulation. Okay, the yearly savings, let's say for option 1 it's 1,000. For project 2 it's 2,000. For this it's 1,500. And for this it is 3,500. Okay? And of course, M, let's just say right now is same, it's 555. Which is a reasonable number for to assume for something like an insulation. Okay? So this is the data given to you. I'm going to talk about how to of course analyze it, but before I actually do the analysis, I'm going to ask you to think about, you already have all the background you need to actually be able to answer this question. Although we haven't discussed this as a specific case. But as I'm telling you, the basic thinking behind analysis is really the same. So we already discussed that. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for you to talk to each other and tell me which option you're going to choose. So discuss the method and then make the calculations. I want answers regarding which one you'll go with, and then we'll discuss it. No book reading.
1,000 times 1 plus I.
Discuss. Payment. Okay, good. And what will you pick? The one with the high?
I haven't calculated.
No, but the number you're calculating, will you pick the maximum or the lowest?
Oh, I picked the lowest.
Somebody has a calculator, right? Don't you have a calculator? You have a calculator?